Hey guys, good afternoon. So for today's lesson, we're going to discuss about who are the industry stakeholders. So let's begin. Okay, for lesson two, who are the industry stakeholders? Stakeholders refers to the parties who hold a stake or interest in a particular project or industry. The stakeholders in the events industry can be classified into four major categories. The first one is the professional congress or event organizers or the PCOs. Next is the community. Third is service suppliers. And fourth is the government offices and regulatory bodies. Based on the figure 5.1, the interrelationship of my stakeholders. As you can see in the figure at the top, it is the external factors such as forces of nature and global economy. Then under niya po si PCO, si suppliers, regulatory bodies, and the community. Then the external factors such as forces of the nature and global economy. As you can notice that the PCO has equivalent friction with the community, regulatory bodies and suppliers. So do the regulatory bodies with the PCOs, suppliers, and the community. This is, however, minimal contract between the community and the supplier within the context of the events as supplier pass through PCOs to reach the community. The event is likewise affected by external factors such as forces of nature, natural calamities, terrorism, and global economy downturn of June, political events among the others. Next is the event manager. The event manager or professional congress organizer or PCO. There are two types of events manager, outsourced and the in-house. When we say outsource, events manager, outsource event management companies or individual, also known as professional congress events, organizer or PCOs that organize events on a per contact basis on behalf of their clients. Meaning to say, they are entrepreneurs. For example, the outsourced PCOs in the Philippines are the companies like Global Link, MP Events, International, and World Dexco. Okay, so the PCOs are the independent event management professionally knowledgeable in their own fields of specialization in MICE who bring in know-how coupled with a database of contracts needed in a various stages of event organizing. Okay, when we say in-house event managers, position or in the, departments within our organization that is not into the business of events manager for coordination due to the volume of special events that our the company has, such as executive meetings, strategic planning, team building, training, incentive events for sales team, and product launches. It states that in in-houses, event managers may either be employed by a corporation, for-profit businesses, or association. Then the second one is the non-profit organization For example, of in-house event managers, we have the hotels, banquet managers, and those employed by companies like Unilever to organize product launches and other company events. So yan po yung example ni in-house events manager. Next is the community. Okay. The community represents both the target market and the people living in, around, and MICE destination. Residents of MICE destination receive the impact of MICE activities, both positive and negative. They enjoy the resulting but also economic benefits, job opportunities, and infrastructure developments, but also suffer from environmental and other possible exploitative impacts too. The target market includes exhibitors, visitors, sponsors, and other attendees. They bring in the revenues for any profit-oriented event. They are those whom the organizers attract and try to satisfy. They are the reason, the A3, or the main reason for the organizing the event. Meaning to say that the association falls under the second major stakeholder categories for the community because association hold a number of events and thus form a major part of the MICE. They are valued clients. Growth in the Asian MICE market have in have a big in fact been fueled by the increase in the number of association in Asia, higher membership, and a boom in demand for professional accreditation, such as for engineers, for example, doctors, and nurses. Okay. Next is the associations who form themselves formally to uphold common interests. We have here two examples. The first one is the trade association. When we say trade association, it is a non-profit organization who aim is to meet the needs of for-profit business. Okay? For example, is the Philippine Association of Convention, Exhibition Organizer, and Suppliers Incorporated or PASEOs. Most of those trade associations, they are open for a event place wherein they conduct a big numbers of audiences. Okay, so that's why it includes the trade association. Next is the professional association. When we say professional association, it is also a non-profit organization that are not involved with business firm organized to assist individuals in the pursuit of their common goals. For example, if the individual members of association reduce personal spending, including their attendance, of course, the association events brought about the brought about by the ongoing global economics, um, slowdown association, and events they hope to stage will be affected. The association generally push through which scheduled events even if attendance level drops. Okay, so other than association and corporate events, MICE markets include key industry sectors such as construction, real estate, financing, automotive, hospitality, medical, and pharmaceutical companies. So, belong yung mga example na yun sa professional association. Okay, Cruise 2005 classified professional association into three types. We have the first one is bound by common personal interest, which include groups of habities like the UP Mountaineers and Wildbird Club of the Philippines. So those are association with same interests, and they form into a group or society or even a club. Okay, they support, they value, and they introduce their interests to the market. Next is the second type of professional association is bound by their career. We have here which include learned societies such as the Philippine Nurses Association. So as you can see, when we say professional association, it is based on the profession that you've been through. For example, here is the learned society such as Philippine Association, Nurses Association. Um, Pwede din po yung mga teachers organization, for example, samahang manggagawa, yan, yung mga yan. So, isa po sila sa mga ituturing mga professional association. Next is the third type of professional association is bound by their desire to do community service. So, most of the times, third types is ito po yung mga organization or association which is served to people um, which serves to people for free. Okay, for example, the NGOs, the volunteers, yan po yung example ng pangatlong type ng professional association. Next is, who are the industry suppliers? In events management, suppliers refer to those who provide the services necessary to organize and execute events properly. Example for the venue, an annual publication of a hypermarket media, okay, provides a definitive guide to Asia Pacific region, convention and exhibition centers, premier city and resort hotels, unique venues, and at least of key industry suppliers. As mentioned earlier, a PCO must have his or own database of con contract, which includes trusted suppliers. For example, tested and trusted suppliers are vital for the success of an event. Should the PICOS lack certain suppliers, he or she must be able to source them to meet the specific client demand. So, napaka-importante yun na ma-meet natin what would be our guests want to have para ma-sustain din natin, malaman din natin kung ano yung mga basically na in demand sa ating supplier. The following are some of the venues that my suppliers category. We have here the venues, the hotel, the food and beverage supplier, airline, the ground for transportation, rental, coach, and bus services, tour operators, housing programs. It is important to have a venue to serve a location for a event. Hotels also best for the accommodation. So that's why as time goes by in our society today, most of the hotel is in demand in terms of accepting different kinds of event. Next is the food and beverage supplier or the caterer. Of course, when we handle a event, we cater people and we need to serve them food. Okay? So, the catering services, together with the food and beverage industry, when it combined, it will serve um, to a number of people in a event, which is very much important. Of course, we have the airline industry, the airports. Airports is a traveler's venue when they want to go out to one place to another. Of course, so airline industry in the Philippines, it is very in demand. Why? Because we have a lot of airline companies that fly locally or internationally. Here, here in ground transportation, it includes also the car rental, the coach. Pag sinabi natin mga coaches is just like is, um, smaller than a bus. Okay, it accommodate at least I think 20 person. Okay, and of course the bus services. The bus services is very important, especially if it is it will handle at least more than 20 passenger. Ground handlers, we have the travel agency, the tour operator, and the spouse program. We also have the freight forwarders, the boot contractors, audiovisual meeting, security, manpower agency, photography, documentation, and transition service security manpower agency. Boot contractors, for example, if we're going to conduct an event and they need to showcase what are those products that their company is, is willingly open to the public. So it is very much important that there is a boot contractor. For example, kung ikaw ay magtatayo ng isang negosyo at ipa-place mo sa isang mall, usually, nakadepende po ang price ng booth sa kung saang lugar doon sa mall mo itatayo yung business. Okay? Most of the time, I think mas mahal po yung kung sa isang booth kung food or beverage po yung iyong ibebenta. Unlike kapag mga things na katulad ng mga, for example, bags, perfume, or even makeup, mas mura po siya. Audiovisual or meeting technology supplier, for example, if the meeting is being held, tapos kailangan ng projector, yung mga mic, for example, lights, so iyan sila yan, audio, speakers, sila yung mga suppliers na dapat natin. So technically, especially if we're going to handle a concert, napakadaming equipment na pinakailangan yung mga technology supplier. Kasi syempre, most of the concert is more on lighting, more on sounds ang pinakailangan. Next is the photography, documentation, and transcription services. So, napaka-importante yan. So, for photography, it serves as your portfolio, di ba? Pag kailangan mo ng mga documents for the as a proof, okay? Proof of documents, tapos for documentation, number one yung mga photography industry. Why? It is also serve as a evidence na yan, anak mo yung event, ganyan, ay memories. And of course, one of the most important factor is the security and the manpower agency. When you say security, of course, it handles the lives, it maintains the safety and the security of every participants in a event. When we say human power agency, they are the agency that provides a number of people that you need in conducting such events. So most of the time, the manpower agency create a team based on the needs of the client. Okay, for example, the venues. Venues are facilities where MICE events are held. Venues may be freestanding um, or attached to other properties like hotel, ballrooms, or event spaces located within the shopping mall. So, convention centers are example of freestanding MICE venues. Some are state-owned, like the Philippine International Convention Center or the PICC. Isa po yan sa pinakamalaking venue na meron tayo dito sa Pilipinas. Some are privately, like the SMX Convention Center. Private siya matuturing, di ba? The convention centers are by definition huge buildings with flexible spaces that of any size for convention, of tens of thousands attendees to smaller meetings, breakout session, and other smaller functions. It is smaller and lesser known relative. The conference centers provides attendees with room for more privacy and focus than the convention center. It offers conference facilities as well as board, lodging, and leisure activity in one location. So yun yung pagkakaiba ni conference kay convention center. For example, in a destination to compete in the MICE business arena, it must be able to offer an attractive venue. The Philippine Premium Resort offer a competitive package for incentive travel, for example. However, the country is undergoing a chicken and egg situation when it comes to convention and exhibition facilities. On the other hand, the Philippines need to show international event organizer that it has space, big and modern enough for those foreign show organizer, even give the country a second look. So most of the time, kaya yung mga tinatawag natin mga international organizer from outside the country, kaya medyo nag-aalangan sila sa Pilipinas, okay, na mag-conduct ng mga, for example, convention, conference, concerts, or even delegates meeting is that yung lack of facilities na ino-offer natin sa kanila. Most of the time, it is more smaller than they expected. So yun po yung isa sa pinaka-mahirap. Okay, on the other hand, the Philippines cannot afford to build a white elephant that is a big and beautiful venue that does not attract revenues. Moreover, the country is not supposed to stay in a state any longer as neighboring countries are building more and better venue fast. So for example, ng mga venue, we have here the PICC. Yung PICC, meron siyang 5,176 square meters. Ang isang theater niya ay kaya mag-accommodate ng 3,815 packs. Okay? So, most of the time, ito yung ginagawang for reception, and of course for graduation. Okay. Next is, meron din sa PICC, yung PICC Depot Room. I think it is 4,292 square meters that can accommodate a larger or bigger audiences. For example, 4,620 packs. Next is the World Trade Center. So the World Trade Center um, can cater at least 8,500 packs. Okay, but the World Trade Center is usually used for uh, exhibition event purposes only. So, kaya ganun kalaki yung nakikater niya. So, for example, magkakaroon ng exhibition events sa may World Trade Center for 1 week. So, ibig sabihin sa 1 week na yun, kung continuous yung dami ng tao, at least hanggang 8,500 yung kaya niyang i-accommodate sa lawak nun. Okay, ganun kalawak siya. So, parang halos triple ni PICC sa theater room yung laki niya. Next is the SM Mega Mall. So, SM Mega Trade Hall. So, SM Mega Trade Hall is a 3,878 square meter and can accommodate 4,000 packs of guests. Then SMX Convention Center, it is the largest hall in the Philippines. They have 1 to 4 halls. Total area of SMS Convention is 46,000 square meters. So kung makikita nyo, siya yung pinakamalaki dun sa example. Next is the Sofitel Philippine Plaza. We have 1,403 square meters and can accommodate 1,500 packs. Okay? Ito ay yung sa Grand Ballroom area nila. Okay? So, for example, yan, bongga yung kasalan or debut, tapos ganyang karami yung gusto nyong guest ng mating. Pwedeng-pwede po yan sa Grand Ball ni Manila, ni Sofitel Philippine Arena. Meron din tayong mga venues na tinatawag na, for example, di Makati, Shangri-La Hotel. So, dun sa Grand Ballroom area nila, yung theater type, pwede silang mag-accommodate ng 1,500 packs. Then, ganun din po sa EDSA Shangri-La. Pero kay EDSA Shangri-La, I think, mas maliit kumpara kay Makati. Si EDSA Shangri-La is 1,100 packs lang po ang kayang i-cater. Next is we have the Shangri-La Mactan in Cebu. Okay, it can cater 1,200 packs and has a 1,156 square meters for the Grand Ballroom or theater area. Then the NCC in Davao. So it is 4,058 square meters and can accommodate 4,000 packs of individual. So yan po yung mga example niya. Next is, let's proceed to hotels. Hotels, a hotel, as we all know, provide guests a comfortable place to sleep in a other services which is guests will need during their stay. Additionally, higher category hotels play an important role in the MICE industry as they provide not only the accommodation for MICE attendees, but also meeting rooms or other event spaces and generally their own MICE-related services. So technically, it says that the hotel itself, it is not only for the accommodation. Hotels can also help different types of meetings, convention, conference, and exhibition. As long as the space in the hotel is appropriate to the number of guests that will attend. Okay. For these PCOs, most must treat hotels as partners. As a MICE venue, hotel and resort have an upper hand in the incentive travel sector compared with other venue options. So because most of the hotels have more suitable facilities such as the spa, the casino, swimming pools, specialty restaurant, etc. Hotels and resort catering to MICE, their own events or banquet departments. Shangri-La, for example, the Shangri-La Mactan Island Resort and Spa has a event department separate from its banquet or food and beverage unit. So, nakaseparate siya. If you are going to hold your own event in a hotel, ask the hotel if they can accept or exchange deals to provide free of charge, okay, the FOC, holding rooms, accommodation, and or meals, even meals for the secretariat. If you can make a minimum number of a room bookings, hotel provide additional services free of charge, commensurate to the income. For example, ito guys, kapag ang isang school, nagpa-conduct po sila ng, tinatawag ko dito na tour or field trip. Kapag may partner hotel po tayo, halimbawa nakaabot kayo sa quota, sabi ni hotel, okay po ma'am, at least siguro maka 400 student tayo para magkaroon po kayo ng free accommodation. So, ibig sabihin, kapag na-meet mo yung quota na 400 student, magkakaroon kayo ng 1 or 2 free accommodation. Tapos lahat ng facilities doon, pwede mo rin gamitin. So, usually, kahit saan naman, not only in the hotel, pero yung most of the business venues, especially sa mga resort, may mga ganyan din po silang promos na tinatawag. Next is the food and beverage suppliers. A restaurant is an establishment that provides meals to the public for a fee. On the other hand, catering provides the same service that a restaurant does, except that the service is provided outside the restaurant premises. The taste, the service, and the cost are the major consideration in choosing F&B supplier for an event. Just be sure that to ask the venue management for the list of accredited caterers, yung mga company partners nila. Okay? Kumbaga, most of the event handlers, may mga company partners sila, especially sa food and beverage or the catering services. So, magtatanong kayo sa kanila kung sino-sino yung mga accredited, okay, partners nila. Nowadays, the total dining experience takes rather bigger consideration, especially in arranging for an event in F&B requirement. So the food and the event must be a perfect marriage. Okay? Food is an integral part of most events. So, totoo, kasi most of the time, when you are going to attend an event, bukod dun sa highlight ng event, syempre, ang pinaka-inaabangan ng mga tao is yung food na kanilang kakainin. So, yan yung isa sa pinaka-inaantay nila. The guests, for instance, enhance the event's potential in achieving the event's objective. The guest cannot have a 7-course meal at a rock concert or manggat bagoong, green mangoes, deep in a shrimp paste, and putot tinuguan, ganyan. So, ganyan yung mga example niya. The event organizer must likewise pay good attention to special guest requirement like vegetarian meals, okay, cultural dictates or religious restriction. So, bakit? For example, isa sa mga guests mo is hindi kumakain ng karne, vegetarian. So, part of food and beverage services is that kailangan kapag nag-provide ka ng meal is kompleto. Hindi lang puro karne, dapat meron ka rin sa menu mo na halimbawa, mga vegetables or fruits. Lalo na po kung may mga vegan guests ka. So, para may makakain din naman po sila. Next is cultural dictates. For example, ganyan. Halimbawa, iba tayo ng kultura, iba tayo ng religion. So, may mga taong, halimbawa, bawal sa religion nila yung kumain ng ganito. So, dapat maging specific tayo. And as a client, dapat alam natin kung sino yung mga guests natin and their backgrounds. Especially kapag sa pagkain. Kasi ayaw naman natin na aatin yung mga guests natin kasi hindi nila makakain yung pagkain na nakain. So, those are the things that we need to give consideration. Next is the ground handlers. When we say ground handlers, those are the travel agencies and tour operators which assist event organizers for the tours and travel arrangement of every event participant. So sila yung partner. Okay, so sila yung nag-a-assist kila event organizer. For example, ang event ay gagawin sa ibang bansa. So lahat yan, okay? From the airfare, for example, from the accommodation and their food, lahat po yan, okay? Si ground handler yung nag-aasikaso. Tapos, nag-arrange for sa tours and travel arrangement for event participant. Siyempre, siya rin po yung nagpapaalala kung ano yung mga requirements or documents na kailangan ng mga tao kasama din sa tour sa isang event na yon outside the country. Next is the freight forwarders. When we say freight forwarders, the main role in MICE is to bring goods for the exhibit or for use in conference from the point of origin to the event venue in good condition and in time for the event. So what are those kind of freight forwarders? We have the pick up goods for exhibitors or presenters. Next is book the goods for transport to country where the event is going to be held. Okay? So, yan yung mga trabaho niya. Para siyang ano, no? Kasi alis siya ng alis. Next is the pack the goods properly as some equipment of materials packaging which only professional can do. Next is prepare departure documents and permits, of course, lalo na kung ang mga guests ay galing ibang bansa. Continuously monitor movements of goods until arrival in the destination. So, yun yung mga example ng trabaho ni freight forwarders. Next is the booth contractors. When we say booth contractors, exhibition contractors supply the necessary materials for the exhibit booth, particularly the panels and octanorms or metal frame needed to put up the booth for the exhibition. So, sila yung napaka-importante. Siyempre, for example, kung ang isang trade show, napakadami ng booth na kinakailangan, si booth contractors na yung bahala doon. Kapag meron tayong nakita mga booth contractors, siya na, even sa building ng structure ng booth, siya na po yung may sagot nun. The best booth space in trade fair is an island booth with all its sides facing the aisles. The booth must have a good design, theme, and clear presentation of the products to showcase. Okay, syempre importante na kapag may mga booth is na-showcase yung kagandahan ng mismong So, yun po yung napaka-importante. An example of an event that so, for example, depende sa tema mo. Kung ang booth na kailangan mo is that more on design about the food, dapat i-connect din po ni food contractors dun sa bebenta mo na produkto. So, most of the time, lahat ng booth is attractive. Okay, napaka-attractive ng mga booth na meron tayo. Why? Siyempre, kahit booth lang sila, the main goal is to attract customer or consumer. So, yun yung isa sa pinaka-importante. Next is the procurement. The procurement is the guardian for getting or purchasing something from the supplier. So, isa po yan sa trabaho ni procurement. Okay. You can do this through shopping or bidding. Bidding is a process wherein you announce the details of what you need, which can either be goods or services, and the interest suppliers will give you an offer. Usually, it is the cheapest offer that is accepted as long as it satisfies the specification indicated in your announcement request for quotation or IFQ or invitation to bid or ITB. Yan po yung mga importante niya. So, for example, step in procurement is to prepare a list of things you need to buy and the reason why you buy that things, okay? Then, of course, prepare a Gantt chart or a schedule of procurement. So, importante yung Gantt chart kasi susundan mo doon. Halimbawa, day 1, ito, naka-date. Anong month? Anong araw? Anong oras? Yan, kailangan sunod-sunod mo, susundan yung, it is also serve as your guide. Napaka-importante. Request for budget and have your list of items approved. So, napaka-importante rin yan. Siyempre, bago ka mag-request ng budget, dapat meron ka rin pong list of items na kinakailangan mo. Siyempre, kapag na-present mo na maayos yun at kapaliwanag mo lahat na yun ay kailangan mo, saka ka palang releasean ng budget. Next is, for example, evaluate and bid quotation using the criteria you prepare. So, napaka-importante din to. Kasi ang pera na ilalabas ng tawag dito ng namumuhunan is dapat kaya naman. And lastly, the security. According to the study, one of the most important factors considered by organizer when choosing a venue and planning an event in all MICE venues have their own safety measure installed and their own security companies to provide additional event security guards. So, syempre, sa isang pag-handle ng events, napaka-importante na meron tayong proper security. Okay? Not only for the lives, of course, of tickets, but also for their belongings. Security requirements vary depending on the number, on the nationality, and political status of event attendees. Okay? So, depende rin po sa mga attendees yung security na ipapakalap. Okay, for example, such as dignitaries, celebrities, it is important to know that the protocol for different types of attendees. Okay, for example, sa isang event ang aatin ng ating presidente. So usually, mahigpit po talaga ang security na meron because that he is the president of the Philippines. And of course, halimbawa mga celebrities, okay, so yan, mga dignitaries, mga importanteng tao na kailangan ng tama at angkop na seguridad. The Philippine National Police has an office dedicated to assisting organizer in their events safety concern. So dito sa Pilipinas, yan yung laging partner natin, the Philippine National Police or the PNP. Kahit anong klaseng event, mapa-concert, mapa-rally, ang tawag dito, convention or conference, sila PNP yung usually nag-handle ng security. So, sa pag-handle ng events, nakita natin guys kung ano-ano yung mga kinakailangan at sakop nito para maging successful ang isang event. So, napaka-important din na tatandaan natin yung mga basic, kahit yung mga basic lang. At least, natututunan natin kung paano natin ma-handle ang isang MICE or ang isang event na mas maayos at mas maganda. And that is the end of our lesson 2. So thank you and hope you learned something. God bless.